and we're still striving to get the same rights as everybody else does, and that will take a few more years. I'm optimistic that it will change. I've been optimistic ever since I've been younger, because it has to change. When I see activism going on, whether it's in the black community or the gay community, if it's disingenuous, it holds all of us back. Because what it does is it causes pushback, and it seems self-serving, and it seems like the agendas are clouded by other agendas which don't benefit anybody.
And are usually from left field.
You know, it can be from left field, it can be, you know, a little bit from right field, but I think if you continue to live, it's never a good idea to forget the past. But any group of people who continue to live in the past, whether it's gay or other minorities, you're never going to be able to progress, ever. And that's what I feel sorry for about, you know, the situation that's going on now in 2014, and that a lot of messages have been lost. I think the media has controlled the message, as it always does, and that may have been disingenuous too, to a point, in that when you really look at what has caused this flashback, it's the police are dealing with a difficult situation, and there are people out in the community that don't obey the laws.
Right.
The people that don't obey the laws deal with us. The people that snub their nose at society or at your rights or your safety and our authority, there's going to be conflict. And, you know, police officers have to protect themselves. Situations are not in a sterile environment that most people are used to. It's a dirty job, and sometimes that job results in people getting hurt or unfortunately getting killed, both suspects, citizens, or police officers. And I think it's unfortunate, and I think that a lot of this hype could be avoided if people just focused on the ball as far as what the real issue is, and didn't let emotions get out of control to the point that it results in what you've seen recently on the news.
Sure, and I think this particular one, they need to call out the people who are not a part of their movement. And that hasn't, you know, it started to at City Hall here, but it hasn't happened in the way that whenever Soci organized anything, I specifically sent things out saying, anarchists, these are the people that are not invited. And if you show up, we'll point you out to the police.
Sure.
You know, and we worked with the department, and it worked great, because there had been some threats at one time during marriage equality towards us, because we were apparently not gay enough or something strange for this weird agenda that they had. But you know, it was interesting working with the police department, because for so many years I had heard from my mentors, you know, that the cops, we needed security from you. I'll never forget that. My first rally that I put together here, they said, we got to get security. I said, well, why? All the police are there. And they said, we need security as a buffer between them. And, you know, I just got out of the military, so I sat there for a minute and thought, what in the world? What's going on? And, but people were very uncomfortable until we got that security. And there was some points where it seemed a little aggressive on the police side. But nothing too crazy, and I think it was because of the way that we reacted to things. So over the years, you watching the gay movement, we've been here in Washington for the non-discrimination, which was the first one that I think passed in 2006, and then for the extended domestic partners, and then the extended bill. You've seen it kind of like, you know, building towards marriage equality. For you, what is the equality? What is the moment when you can say, okay, we are just like everybody else? Is it the marriage issue? What is it?
Well, I think it's pretty simple. It'll become equal when it's truly equal, in that I can do anything that you can do or anybody else out there can do, and that there is no division. I mean, you know, I refer back to the old book of Animal Farm when I was in grade school. It says, everybody's equal, but some people are more equal than others. And I didn't really understand what that meant, but as you get older, you do understand what that means. And that we're, you know, I think there's plenty of people who talk about special rights. And again, I'm speaking from my own personal experiences, not on behalf of the police department, but I think equality, and the Supreme Court has been following this pretty closely, that equality is equality is equality. and there's no exemptions to that. So I guess when that occurs, then I can sit back and go, great, we've made it. And I think we will make it. I think it's just a matter of time. I think there's a lot of activism and a lot of younger people especially that want this stuff to happen overnight. And,
Yeah.
this is a big machine. It's a big political machine in this country. And I think that if the younger people out there, who, by the way, I think are a lot smarter than a lot of us older people are, and I have to hand it to them. It's interesting that I think this generation that's growing up now, including the new officers that are coming on the department who are gay, openly so, are not experiencing the same problems or challenges that I may have had. And I think, again, that the dynamics of the police department are the same. I think the officers want to make sure these new officers are able to do their job. And if they are openly gay, okay, it's not a big deal anymore. But this has taken 30 years to get to this point. And I think it's great. I talked to my daughter's younger friends who are 14 and 15 years old who are coming out in middle school. I'm seeing, I went to Bellevue High School. They had a gay student body president who's open.
Wow.
And open and out about it. I talked to, younger people from Enumclaw and Bonnie Lake who are in charge of their gay associations in their high schools. Go figure. This was a Seattle issue back in the day, and I think that whether you're talking about the Gay Pride Parade or you're talking about any other group that operates within Capitol Hill, I think they're finding that since Seattle is now being regentrified and you are not having the gay enclave just on Capitol Hill, you have acceptance throughout the region. That you're having a lot of gay people that are very, very hard workers. They're having their families. They're living their lives like everybody else does, and I think it's great. Mm-hmm. And I think that that the younger people are seeing this, and they're not experiencing the same things as I might have, and I'm certainly not experiencing the same things that somebody who's 70-year-old might have. And unfortunately, a lot of the people in their 70s and 80s who are afraid to come out and watch their lives go by, wishing it got better, and unfortunately being in their golden years and not being able to enjoy the same benefits that you or I might have at this day and age. So I think it's great. I think that I'm very proud of the Seattle Police Department. I am thrilled that we've got a new police chief who is going to, because remember, a police chief in Seattle especially assumes when they come into office a culture. They inherit it. They also have to change it. And that's what's happening now. And I think that this chief has made it very clear that she is a progressive, that she wants to have everybody treated fairly, both inside and outside the police department. We've got a gay mayor. Who'd have ever thought? I'm excited about 2015, and I couldn't be happier, more proud of my agency. Even though there's been a lot of bumpy roads, I'm thrilled that I got to experience the old guard and the changing of that old guard to my generation and the passing of that generation on to the next generation, and keeping that culture moving in a positive way.
When you have a new chief that comes in, obviously in the past, there was always big shakeups. And lately, the big one is she's making people earn their position, if I got that right. She's making people have to show why that she'll take in applications from around the whole country. How does that make you feel as someone that's been here for 30 years? Do you think that there's some kind of pull that you have, out of seniority and everything, but how does it make you feel that this is different? Because from my understanding, it's never been like that.
Well, we've always had chiefs that have come in and quietly dislodged the upper command, piecemeal mostly. I think that in this chief's case, she's done it very publicly. And I think she's sending a message to the officers and the civilians in the Seattle Police Department that, there is change coming down the road. And for those of you who want to jump on the bus and ride with me, you're welcome to stay. For those who are not comfortable with that change, there may be other options for you within the police department or outside it. And I think that anytime a subculture gets too comfortable with what's been happening, it is time for a change. I think we've got a lot of talented people in the police department, both at the police officer level and at the ranking level. And it shakes it up just enough to let people know she's serious about this and that it's a new time.
She's very genuine.
She is. I'll tell you something. I often compare Chief O'Toole to two previous chiefs I've had. You had Patrick Fitzsimons, who was a chief here for a long time, 16 years.
Hear his name a lot.
And he was a very good leader for his time. I think it would be different if he was here in 2015, because things have changed. I see Chief Stamper, after Chief Fitzsimons left, coming into the police department and being way ahead of his time, and getting a lot of resistance internally for that. He was very charismatic, very well connected with the community, and I think Kathleen O'Toole is a combination of Chief Fitzsimons' leadership and tenacity when it comes to changing things and understanding who the new leader is, and a combination of Chief Stamper's personality, where she connects very easily, she's very sincere, and I think she's doing this for all the right reasons, which is important with any leader.
Yeah, I've gotten a good feeling whenever we talk to her, and she's shown up to a couple of things that we've done, which I appreciate, because sometimes working with the department, you know, obviously as an organization you take heat. You know, the same people that hate the cops will then also hate the people that work with. So it's interesting how Celsi has sometimes lost the confidence of other people just from working with SPD. We keep doing it because, you know, it's the only department we have, and I think that if any change happens, it has to come from within. So just completely shunning people or turning away and all that doesn't work. And I've been learning a lot about community policing and what that means, and how nothing gets better unless we all work together.
I think collaboration is the spice of life here, and I think just like the public demands change within the police department and are concerned that there's some resistance there, I think subcultures around the community, including the gay community, has its elements that don't care to change either. I also think you have a number of community leaders in every aspect of society that really have no desire to see it get better, because they would become irrelevant at that point. I think that when you look at the big picture and you're objective about this, working together either as a police department or as a community, it has to happen. And for those people who don't want to get on that same bus in the gay community or the black community or any other minority community and work together towards a positive outcome, I think they're destined to stay stuck in that quagmire, and it'll be a difficult hole to get out of.